Greetings, my name is Monty Martin.
And I'm Kelly McLaughlin.
And we are the Dungeon Dudes. And today we're going to be cracking open Helianna's Guide to Monster Hunting and taking a look at tier ranking the subclasses included in it.
Our friends over at Loot Tavern made the incredible Helianna's Guide to Monster Hunting, which has over 600 pages of different crafting systems and subclasses and all sorts of other amazing dark fantasy things. Today we're going to focus on the subclasses and tier ranking them using our normal system. There's a lot to discuss today, so let's get rolling.
Now, of course, if you've been sleeping on all the awesome subclasses that have been created by third-party publishers for 5th edition, you might want to consider upgrading your mattress.
If that's the case, you might want to check out the sponsor for this week's episode, Helix Sleep. They've got a Memorial Day sale, and it's running now through May 30th. You can get 30% off an Elite or Luxe mattress, plus 2 free pillows, or take advantage of 25% off site-wide. Check out the Helix site for more details.
Now, as a dungeon master, my best creative ideas come to me in the liminal state between waking and dreams. I'm often haunted by nightmares of eldritch beings in my sleep, which makes it difficult for me to run and prepare my best games if I haven't had a good night's sleep.
If that's the case, Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your needs and conveniently shipped right to your door. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including their award-winning Luxe and Ultra Premium Elite collections. The Helix Plus, which is a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and the Helix Kids mattress. Everybody's different, and Helix knows that, so they made a sleep quiz that matches your unique body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you.
So I took the quiz, and because I'm stricken with nightmarish thoughts of terrifying monsters all the time in my sleep, I often toss and turn from my stomach to my side, and I overheat when I sleep. Based on my results, Helix matched me with their Helix Plus mattress, and I've had it for a few weeks now, and the comfort and quality has relaxed my body so much that my mind cannot awaken my body, even with the nightmarish creatures invading my dreams. Instead, I wake up physically refreshed and refilled with inspiration that I can pour into haunting my players.
The best part about all of this is that Helix delivers your mattress right to your door with free shipping in the US. The mattress comes rolled up in a box and it's super easy to set up. Helix has a 100-night sleep trial, so you get more than 3 months to make sure that you love it. Plus, Helix mattresses have a 10-year warranty, and they even offer financial options and flexible payment plans. So a great night's sleep is never far away.
I've had a real improvement in my I've had a real improvement in my sleep since switching to a Helix. And so if you're looking for a new bed, check out Helix Sleep. Their Memorial Day sale is running now through May 30th, so it is a good time to upgrade your mattress. Get 30% off their Elite and Luxe mattresses, 2 free pillows, or 25% off site-wide. Check out this Helix site for more details. The links are right down below.
So thank you so much to Helix Sleep, our sponsors for this week's episode, for giving us that much-needed long rest. And now, let's stop sleeping on Helianna's Guide and break into these subclasses. Up on screen right now, you're going to see the criteria that we use to measure the subclasses. Generally speaking, we rank from S to D tier, S tier being the best of the best that the subclass has to offer, useful for everybody, and they should definitely be considering taking this. In some cases, especially when looking at third party, it could mean that it might even be a little overpowered. A tier is generally our sweet spot. This is where we love to see a lot of subclasses landing. It means that it's a great choice for everybody and will be very functional at the table. B tier is about middle of the road. Still an excellent choice, but it really depends on the build or the party dynamic that's really going to bring that subclass to life.
C tier subclasses are a little bit more niche in their applications. They might be really good in a very specific campaign that is catered towards them, and their abilities aren't useless, but they're not generally going to come up as often as you would like, or necessarily function better than options that the base class has. A D tier subclass, on the other hand, should be avoided at all costs. Generally speaking, a D tier subclass is offering you options that are going to take away from the strengths of the class and is going to pull your character down a direction that conflicts with the things that the class itself is really good at, or give you some too many detrimental features in exchange for what you're getting. We try to evaluate all of the subclasses based on how they are within other subclasses of that class and consider them in combat, exploration, and social interaction. Although I would say that the subclasses that we're looking at today are all pretty combat focused in what they're offering.
Absolutely. And I will also say that these are just our opinions, and we love to hear about people who have tried the subclasses. And if we rank one low and it's your favorite, we'd love to hear why, because you can always change our minds. Today, this is going to be part 1 of our look at Helianna's guide. And so we're going to be looking at the bards, clerics, and druids presented in the book. And we're going to kick things off with a subclass whose theme is very near and dear to Monty and my heart, because we love food, and we're going to look at the Bard College of Cuisine.
This is a clever idea. A chef bard is a really neat concept, and I like seeing this come to life. So with this bardic subclass, the very first thing, of course, you're going to get is culinary exploration, which is going to give you your cook's utensils proficiency. It also has a little bit of a ribbon feature that lets you add extra ingredients with the cooking rules that are introduced in Helianna's guide to monster hunting. We're not going to get into too much of the implications of that, but that is a cool little benefit if you're using those rules as well.
At 3rd level, you're going to get the ability Petit Fours. This is your ability to make treats, and you can make a number of treats equal to your charisma modifier during a short or long rest, and you can hand them out to your party, but you don't have to hand them out to your party. First of all, you're going to choose the ingredients that you're making these treats with, and you're going to decide on their flavor palette. Are they bitter, sour, sweet? There's a few other options there, but depending on what you pick, they have different implications in the game. And then not only can you hand them out, but if you have them on your person, you can use a bonus action and expend a bardic inspiration to teleport the treat in front of your companions' mouths, and then they can use a reaction to munch on it. This is adorable. The imagery of just like teleporting my treats in front of my friends as they're like, oh, and then they gain the benefits as a reaction. It's cute, it's fun, and I love it. But yeah, there's a lot of great options here.
Yeah, the treats, once they're eaten, you can pass them out to your friends as well, and they can eat them using either an action or a bonus action. But in terms of action economy, it's best for you to keep the treats on yourself, use your bonus action to teleport them out, and then your party members use their reactions, because that way no one in your party has to use their own bonus actions or actions on their turns to eat them. And because the effects of the treats typically only last for 1 round, this way, if you have party members that can do things with their own bonus actions, they can benefit from those while also getting the treat benefit.
So I think, as well as being a culinary expert, you actually want to be knowledgeable about your party's action economy to know how to best use your treats. As a professional chef, that's something that you might learn.
Yeah. So the bitter treats give poison resistance and advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. I think this is probably the narrowest treat. And what is a good example of a bitter treat?
I mean, treat isn't usually the word I would use for bitter.
Yeah.
Am I putting, like, what's that Australian toast spread? Is that a treat?
I don't know. A salty treat, however, gives advantage on wisdom saving throws and immunity to the charmed condition.
This is your potato chips. I'm teleporting potato chips into your face. The sour treat is going to allow you to deal bonus acid damage equal to the bardic inspiration die. This is, I imagine I'm teleporting sour Skittles.
Yeah.
Or warheads.
Yes.
Warheads in my party's mouth, and now they do acid damage.
This one is really good too, because it's your bardic inspiration die, and it gets better with characters that can make multiple attacks or attack with their bonus action. So this treat specifically is why it might be better for you to use your action to, like, if you have a crossbow expert or a polearm master or a dual wielder, someone who can make 2 attacks on their own and then a bonus action attack, they don't want to spend their bonus action to eat the treat.
Yeah.
Because they can attack with it and gain the benefit. So teleport the treat in front of their mouth, they eat it, and then they're going to deal acid damage with all those attacks they make. And it works with melee or ranged attacks, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The sweet treat is temporary hit points.
As sweet treats often are.
And umami.
That's a fun word to say.
It's a fun word to say, and a fun taste to experience.
Yeah, I was actually surprised seeing it on here, but it is its own kind of, it's its own thing.
It is.
That one gives you bonus to your AC, +2 bonus.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Okay, so I'm going to say that what's important to note is that the sweet treats temporary hit points last an hour. Everything else is just going to last until end of next turn.
Yeah.
So I personally think the sour treat is the way to go.
Warheads all
sour
over the place.
Skittles.
Sour Skittles and warheads.
Rainbows of sour Skittles everywhere. Or sour keys.
Yeah. Oh, my mouth's starting to water.
Yeah, sour
Thinking
keys.
about certain sour, you say the word warheads around me and my mouth starts to water.
If you don't want one that's like super sour, you could go with sour peaches. Not super sour.
I mean, even just like I feel like there's a lot of candy that's like that sour green apple, but it's pretty tame.
Yeah.
Anyway, my mouth is watering a lot now.
But yeah, I think that personally for me, that would be the go-to. But then you get a culinary specialization at level 6. This is also going to give you a choice of 3 different styles and give you different benefits based on each. Whether you're going to be a slow cook, a fast food cook, or a patissier, these are going to give you armor proficiencies and weapon proficiencies. The fast food gets extra attack.
I do feel like it's very much like pick your play style. Like the slow cook is your sort of melee tank. The fast food is your skirmisher, and the patissier is a spellcaster.
Yeah, and that one basically is giving you magical secrets. So basically the 6th level feature is saying, do you like the Valor Bard feature or the Lore Bard feature? Choose.
Yeah.
Yeah, like essentially you're either getting to be a Valor Bard, like it's a very cool choice, but it's kind of like, whoa, okay, so we're getting all the treat stuff plus pick your favorite of Valor versus Lore Bard.
And at 14th level, you get the Executive Chef feature, and you get to become Gordon Ramsay. Now when a creature either uses one of your Bardic Inspiration dice or eats one of your delicious treats, you get to yell a command at them.
No action required from you.
Yeah, just you get to yell at them because they're enjoying your food.
Yeah. And then they get to spend their reaction to move or make a weapon attack.
Now, this is where it gets crazy. So this is the 14th level feature. What I like about bards is their top feature comes online at still a playable space.
Yeah.
So we're 14th level, high game. But because we can do the extra acid damage as a treat, and you can teleport all of your treats using one Bardic Inspiration. It says teleport any number of your treats.
Yeah.
Keep all of your sour treats in your bag. Then, when you need to, teleport them all, and then all of the other players can use their reactions, and now in a single instance, you get all of your party. At this point, you probably have a +5 to your charisma modifier. So 5 treats, let's say you have a party of 6, just for the sake of it. So you and 5 others. You teleport all your treats, they all use the reaction, 5 attacks on the enemy, and then you still get to go around and do all your normal attacks.
With the bonus damage.
The bonus damage,
because the Executive Chef feature says when they use the reaction to make the attack, they can do that as part of the same reaction of eating the petit four, or the bonus action of eating the petit four. So you can give them the treats, and then they could pop the treat, get the benefit, and still attack with that bonus action. But it's even better to do the move that Kelly described, where you just teleport the sour treats to everybody. This seems
you're
to be
nuking. If you're like fighting a boss, you can just nuke them with 5 attacks.
Yeah.
Like,
and this is where it gets even better, where if you've got like a paladin that can smite on this, or a rogue that can sneak attack, because that's where now you're giving that character an out of turn attack. For a rogue, it's a big deal.
Yeah, out of turn attack, another chance to sneak attack.
Yeah, right. For a paladin, they can smite on an out of turn attack. So, but just getting to kind of bonus action, your entire party makes an attack at 14th level is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only, and it's so minor, the only downside to this subclass, and when I say the only downside, I mean you can take this or leave this, is the fact that right off the bat, you get an ability that says, hey, the main feature here, other than getting cook's utensils, is that you can play with our crafting system more. If you're not using the crafting system, you won't get to use that feature.
Yeah, you get to add extra ingredients to the things that you cook, which gives them another benefit, which we'll have to talk about that.
But I still think that this subclass, even if you were like, I'm not going to use the crafting system, it's still great.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I when you compare it to like the Lore Bard or the Valor Bard in terms of what it's getting you and giving you, I think, yeah, this is a really solid Bard subclass and surprisingly combative for a subclass based on cooking.
But it also doesn't you are a great support character, which is what we love in the Bard, and you get to choose whether you want to be in the combat or more of a spellcaster, and that choice is great. And then beyond that, you're telling the rest of your melee focused party, hopefully that you have if you are one of the only spellcasters and you have a paladin, a fighter, and a rogue, you're going to have so much fun. And I think this is an A tier.
Yeah, I think the thing to note is that move that we described that you can do at 14th level, that is expending all of your petit fours.
Yeah.
Right? Because you make a number of them equal to your charisma modifier on a short rest. But they come back on a short rest. So it's a big move, but for me, I like big moves that you can do every short rest because that's something that the choice to use it is less
it's a cool choice, but you always know
you can do it in multiple times in an adventuring day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can rely on it. Whereas things that you have once per long rest are a little bit harder to rely on because once you've used it, that's it. And so bards already get all their uses of bardic inspiration back on a short rest by this level. And beyond that, it's only costing you it's only one use of your bardic inspiration. And so what's cool about it too is that feature, yes, you used up all your petit fours, but that feature still works on your bardic inspiration too.
Yeah.
So your bardic inspiration is now also handing out attacks.
Yeah. I gave it an A. What do you think?
I think it's an A. Yeah.
Moving on, we have another Bard subclass. This is the College of Fleshweaving. Now, well, the Culinary Bard delighted and surprised me. The Fleshweaving seems a little bit more grim in its implications.
And this is a little strange as a Bard subclass because I don't know, this one kind of gives me like weird Hannibal Lecter vibes or
I think of
what was it? What was him?
Do you remember the movie 9?
No.
With the little animated sock puppet type creatures.
No. You watch weird movies.
Dude, it was a great movie. Dude. Elijah Wood?
No.
It had a great
Who's
cast.
Elijah Wood?
Oh my God. Okay. So this thing, the flesh weaving, it sounds creepy, and it is, but it's actually also kind of cutesy with the image that they have here is this creature with like a ton of sewing needles and a giant spool of thread on their back.
Yeah.
And they sew,
with flesh.
With flesh. But not in like
a super creepy serial killer way.
Yeah. Less creepy than it sounds, but still creepy.
The first ribbon feature that you get at 3rd level is this ability to cast Alter Self over 1 minute without expending a spell slot, but only being able to use the change appearance ability of Alter Self. So you're kind of getting this infinite capability to physically change your shape in a largely cosmetic way. But you can also, over 10 minutes, use your surgeon's tools to change the appearance of another willing creature. And that lasts until it finishes a long rest. So this is kind of fun.
Yeah. I mean, Alter Self is a pretty decent spell to have in your back pocket, especially as a concentration-free one caster.
I mean, Alter Self is kind of like whereas Disguise Self is an illusion. Alter Self holds up to physical inspection.
Yeah.
So it can be a little more reliable in that respect. normally Alter Self requires concentration, which is kind of the downside of it. This kind of removes it.
Also at 3rd level, though, we gain the Suture ability, which this is a very unique ability for a bard. You're going to gain the Spiritual Weapon spell. And not only can you cast your Spiritual Weapon, it has to take the form of a needle and thread, but then you can use your Bardic Inspiration to augment the Spiritual Weapon, and you unlock different augmentations as you level up. So at 3rd level, when you gain this feature, you're going to get the Suture modification, which allows you to use your Bardic Inspiration to move it and add temporary hit points to a creature.
At 5th level, it unspools, and you can move the Spiritual Weapon up to an enemy and basically sew them in place and restrain them, which is pretty fun for augmenting Spiritual Weapon to do that. I kind of like that.
And at 10th level, you get the Acupuncture modification, and now you can move it and, I guess, jab the needle into their back and paralyze them.
Again, they're only paralyzed till the end of your next turn, but turning Spiritual Weapon into a paralysis, into like a 1-round hold monster for a Bardic Inspiration die, it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like, by this level, you do have hold monster, but I don't think that's terrible.
No, I think that these are all useful, and especially like as you're leveling up, this is going to be the bread and butter of this class.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah, you're going to have your magic needle, and you're going to stab people with it.
Yeah,
and it's and then you're using your Bardic Inspiration to kind of give it extra effects, which aren't bad at all. Like, honestly, a paralyzed target, you're handing free crits out.
Yes. For one round.
And a restrained target, you're still giving advantage.
Yeah.
So it kind of lets you trade, because there are saving throws involved with this. This is the one thing, is that you're expending your Bardic Inspiration. And normally Bardic Inspiration is great when you give it to a player character, because you can usually know that when you're using Bardic Inspiration, it's going to affect something because of the way the die roll works. Mm-hmm. This is giving you a little bit of a gamble for a bigger effect on it. So if you don't mind that gamble that the enemy's going to make their save, you can get a bigger reward.
At 6th level, we gain Ritual Reskin. Essentially, with this ability, you can spend 10 minutes doing some sewing on your allies or yourself, and for an hour, they gain a benefit. You get to choose the benefit from a list of a few options here that do things like, give you advantage on strength saving throws or wisdom or dexterity, depending on your abilities. There's a few other options like the fish form that grants you the ability to breathe underwater and have a swim speed. The most notable ones, though, I would say are the Owl's Sight, which not only gives you advantage on wisdom checks, but also advantage on your initiative rolls. And Rhino's Hide, which is advantage on constitution checks and also gives you temporary hit points.
10-minute ritual lasts an hour. You got to get it done before combat. You can use it once per long rest or expend a 3rd level spell slot to do it again.
So this ability is pretty useful, but also somewhat niche because it takes 10 minutes. So you're not going to do it in the middle of combat. You're going to have to do it before combat. Yeah. But you also want to know that a combat is coming. The hard part here is that some of these options are niche enough that I would almost never pick them unless I know exactly what monster I'm going to fight. There's one that's called, I think, Cactus Skin that gives you, it deals damage to creatures that are grappling you. So if I know I'm about to fight a Kraken that's going to grab all of me and my friends, then maybe that might be useful. But it seems challenging to be like, well, I hope we get grappled if I'm choosing this option.
I think the other thing, too, is that the Rhino Hide grants temporary hit points equal to a roll of your Bardic Inspiration plus your Charisma modifier. And my problem with this is that basically it's like a worse Inspiring Leader. And Inspiring Leader is already a really tempting feat for any bard.
Yeah.
And so I kind of go, all right, I guess I don't like, for me, an ability that gives out temporary hit points to the whole party, I want to see it be doing like the equivalent of an inspiring leader to see it be worth a subclass feature.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when I have to do it outside of combat. When it's within combat, it can be less.
Rhino's hide is soaking up half of a hit, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Finally, Soul Sow is the 14th level feature. And this feature essentially, when you use Bardic Inspiration on somebody or when you hit them with your needle, you now have a soul sown tether between them that lasts as long as you are within 100 feet of each other, or it expires after a certain amount of time. When you're soul sown to somebody, so you can be soul sown to a friend because you Bardic Inspiration them, or you can be soul sown to an enemy because you stab them with your needle, you can use a bonus action to teleport right up to them, or switch places with them through a teleportation, in which case if it's an enemy, they get a saving throw against it. I like powers like this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They're super useful, and you can feel super chess mastery, especially with the flipping around, switching places. It's cool to teleport up to allies. The one thing I wish this feature lets you do, which it doesn't, is teleport the person to you.
Right.
But still pretty cool.
I do feel like it comes online somewhat late. Like I could see this being an earlier ability if you had like a teleporting type of class, but it's not the main shtick of this class.
Yeah.
This is an interesting bard subclass. I feel like the main thing that we're getting is the spiritual weapon. That's the shtick.
Yeah.
Everything else feels somewhat niche, but does spiritual weapon with augmentations, is it the tide that lifts all ships and makes this subclass good?
I think the thing here that I look at is that a bard that relies on illusion to disguise appearances and skill checks can do like 80 to 90% as effective and not have to give up their subclass choice. Bards also have lots of ways of augmenting skills already across the party. So while they do have like the buffs of ability checks to everybody is pretty cool, sometimes you want the more spot focus. And
the augmentations are really cool, but if I'm a lore bard, I can take spiritual weapon as a secret.
Yeah.
I don't get the augmentations.
I think this is like a B.
I'm wondering if it's a C.
No, because I still think like the cool thing about the mass augmentation, the 6th level feature, is if you know your entire party's going into a skill challenge where like strength is going to be relevant for everybody, or dexterity is going to be relevant for everybody, or wisdom is going to be relevant for everybody, that's kind of useful because then everyone's going to be able to make those skill checks because they all got advantage on it. Which normally like a bard can really soup up one person's skill checks through Bardic Inspiration, their own capability, through spells like Enhance Ability. But souping up everybody's skill checks isn't always necessary, but being able to do it is cool.
And I guess, it is a mass, like you get to do your whole party.
Yeah.
And like, it is more of a planned feature. Like if you are, oh, hey, we have to go into an underwater temple. Let's give everybody a swim speed and the ability to breathe underwater. Like the option to augment your whole party to solve problems that you know are coming.
And these are concentration free buffs.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
All right.
They're not like taking anything away from it. It's just not necessarily, you're kind of giving up the opportunity cost of like some other subclass features. I don't feel like this subclass is really giving you as a bard anything that any other bard couldn't do.
I mean, I can stick a needle in somebody's back and paralyze them.
Yeah, but every bard could, in theory,
hold monster,
or hypnotic, like, and bards have ways of restraining people or hypnotizing them with hypnotic pattern. And bards do have access to things like Dimension Door and Polymorph and teleportation. So there's nothing that the subclass is offering that you couldn't get in some way, shape, or form through your spell choices as a bard. So you kind of have to decide whether these things are giving you the tools that you want to do and you're going to choose different spells in accordance with that, or whether you're just going to go with a flexible spell list and really strengthen up something else.
I'll switch my vote to a B.
Yeah.
You've convinced me, and I do like a lot of what's going on here. I wish Solso was earlier, but also I don't know what you would replace it with. And yeah, I think the spiritual weapon's really cool.
Yep. Moving on to the Cleric, we have the Hunt domain. I like this. This is the book talks about this being kind of deities like Artemis and Diana or Woden, all the gods of the hunt, which yes, the god of the hunt.
I'm actually shocked that it took this long for me to see a hunter cleric, because there are so many gods of hunting.
and like the nature domain and doesn't cut the mustard on the front.
Even the artwork that you get of the hunt domain is wielding a bow, and I think that already tells you a lot about what this cleric's going to feel like, and everything lends into that theme.
Yeah. Okay, so the spells, the domain spells. We got Entangle and Longstrider. We got Locate Animals and Plants and Pass Without Trace. We got Conjure Animals and Haste. We got Freedom of Movement and Locate Creature. And then we got Commune with Nature and Hold Monster.
Okay, I right away, something stands out here, and that you have two different things happening in the spell list. Either you're getting some of the best spells in the game, and in the instances that you're not, you're getting some of the most thematic spells for this class or subclass.
A Cleric with Haste is fun.
Yeah.
A Cleric with Conjure Animals is a lot of fun.
Pass Without Trace is always useful.
Lovely.
Entangle.
This is an excellent spell list for a cleric.
Yeah, I love that they've balanced like perfectly both the feeling of like, wow, I love these spells, and wow, this is so on brand.
Yeah, and this is a very particular poaching from the Druid spell list that I think is especially potent on a cleric. In addition, we're going to get proficiency with 2 martial weapons and animal handling, nature, or survival. Pretty standard cleric stuff.
But also at first level, so we get 3 features at first level. So also at first level, you get Mark Prey. This is essentially a concentration-free hunter's mark. You can mark prey, do extra damage to them.
Yeah, it is literally concentration-free hunter's mark, which lasts an hour, and you can switch it at will. There's no limit to the number of times per day. It is, this is pretty amazing, because it is, not only is there any limit on the uses, it is no concentration.
Yeah.
So already I'm going, ooh, this is a super dippy cleric.
Yeah, I want to talk about the dip, especially when you're going to take 2 levels of this cleric in your dip. And the reason is, because of the Channel Divinity option, Honed Instincts. This Channel Divinity, unlike most Channel Divinities, requires no action for you to use. So you just are like, hey, I'm going to use my Channel Divinity now. And I'm going to ask a question about this. Going to pose it to everybody out there after I explain what this ability does. So you get to choose a creature within 120 feet of you, and you either get to learn its proficiencies or its physiology. Proficiencies, you get to learn its saving throws and skills, with which the creature is proficient. And with its physiology, you can learn the creature's damage resistances, immunities, and vulnerabilities, as well as any condition immunities.
Right off the bat, that's like learning a monster's saving throw proficiencies is basically telling you what saving throws to target with your spell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's not all that you get from this non-action Channel Divinity. Not only do you get to learn one of these options, but for the next minute, the next attack that you land against the target deals max damage. So, here's where my question comes in. So we're dipping. I'm taking 2 levels of this cleric.
Yeah.
Then I dip it, then I go the rest rogue. Because this Channel Divinity is no action required, I have questions about where no action required fits into the action economy of D&D. If the answer is whenever you want, does this mean that I can be a rogue who uses my sneak attack, rolls a crit, and then I go, Channel Divinity?
So here's what's weird about this, is that most no action required features usually have an explicit trigger to them.
Yeah.
So they're usually worded in such a way of, when you do X, you can cause Y to happen. And then there's the brackets, no action required. It just lets you do it. Right. So I feel like, and channel divinity powers tend to be a couple different action types. Like some of them are reactions. Some of them are actions. Some of them are bonus actions. So this is a little bit of a strange duck here, because it's almost like the assumption, like it's not an action. It says no action required.
So can I call it in the middle of landing a crit? And that's where it gets weird. That's where I, as a DM, would probably be like, you gotta call it before, but nothing in the ability says that.
And there's no, I can't find a rules precedent to rely on for this.
Yeah. So that, I'm throwing that out to everybody. The way that this is worded is tricky in the fact that I could abuse this, I think, as a multi-class cleric rogue.
Well, just to be fair, if you're a cleric rogue or a cleric paladin or any sort of character that has some sort of ability to like grab a fistful of dice, even if it's not a crit, it's still strong.
I mean, if I'm doing a sneak attack using this channel divinity, knowing
if you're
that
an 11th level character, you got a 5d6 sneak attack. You're turning that 5d6 sneak attack into an automatic 30 damage.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a paladin and you've got a 4d8 smite.
Against a demon?
5d8 now. So that's just, here, have 40 damage. Right? Or if you do have some sort of spell, like, again, it's got to be a weapon attack.
Yeah.
So it can't be a spell, but anyone that can augment an attack with a spell that boosts it up, right? Yeah, you couldn't like throw disintegrate at somebody and max that out, or you couldn't do. This wouldn't work with, say, like a spell that has an attack roll, because it has to be a weapon attack.
I still think this is the potential for dipping is insane.
Yeah.
And my top three are Rogue, Paladin, and Ranger. Ranger has less of the punch that we're talking about, but also, come on, theme here.
Well, also, I just think that any of those classes, the Rogue, the Fighter, or the Ranger, like, the Ranger wants a concentration-free Hunter's Mark.
Yeah. Now
right?
you can take Zephyr Strike instead of Hunter's Mark, and you kind of,
both.
You have both.
Yeah, everybody likes it, right? And because of that, like, you're actually not even losing you're not like, comparatively speaking, that D6 is also getting maxed out.
Yeah.
Too. So Pack Hunter is the 6th level feature. Use a reaction to embolden everybody around you, with a kill or retreat action command. You can use this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, and you regain them on a short rest. The kill function of this reaction, it applies when somebody hits somebody else that you've marked with your marked prey, and you get to basically give them the bonus damage as a reaction.
And then retreat, if your marked prey hits an ally, you can have that ally move half their speed without provoking opportunity attacks. I think that's really useful.
Well, in particular, because the text explicitly calls out that the reaction that they can move away happens before the attack lands, negating the attack.
Oh, okay, that's even better.
Yeah. So basically, you mark your target, it attacks one of your allies, you use a reaction, they get to scurry away, and now the target's like, what?
At 8th level, we gain Unflinching Mark. This ups the damage of your marked prey. So now it's doing 2d6, and eventually, at 14th level, 3d6.
Yeah, so technically speaking, if you were to multi-class and get extra attack, because this cleric subclass doesn't give you extra attack, but if you did want to take the 8 levels of this cleric and 5 levels of fighter or something, it gave you extra attack. It's just dropping an extra 2d6 casually on
all your attacks against your marked target. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you action surge on them, and then you use the channel divinity when you crit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 17th level, you gain the Right of the Hunt. And this is also another option where you can choose your marked target and have them either chase or avoid. And this is how you want them to treat you. So chase means that they have disadvantage with attacks against targets other than you. and that if they try to move more than 30 feet away from you, they have to make a wisdom saving throw. A void is the exact opposite. They have disadvantage on attacks against you, and the first time that they try to move within 30 feet of you, they have to make a wisdom saving throw. So you kind of get to decide whether you want them to come at you or stay the heck away from you.
So you can use this ability as much as you want, but a target that succeeds against it is immune to it afterwards. So
yeah, but I'm going to kill them anyway with my auto crit max damage.
Hopefully. I mean, you're a 17th level cleric at that point.
Yeah.
Right? I think that this is an S tier multiclass dip.
I think
it's an overall A.
Yeah.
I think that the kind of the decision points with this cleric subclass are, okay, you know who else would make really good use out of this? A monk.
Oh, yeah.
Because a monk, if you had 5 levels of monk, actually you really only need 2 levels of cleric with a monk on this, because then you're able to do the mark prey, which is going to augment all your punches. But hold on here. If you did go as far as monk 5, cleric 8, and now mark prey is 2d6, and now you're flurry of blowsing. So you mark the target, punch, all your punches are getting an extra 2d6 damage, and then when you're flurry of blowsing, that's 4 attacks with 2d6 extra damage each. And in addition to that,
8d6
yes,
extra damage.
And you have enough levels of cleric that you can probably get something like Spirit Shroud or Spirit Guardians.
And monk also wants wisdom.
Yeah.
So you're
Colby did a pretty good monk cleric build a while ago. This might be a good subclass.
I want to see Colby take a look at this subclass and do some builds using this subclass and multiclassing with rogue, paladin, fighter, ranger, monk.
This is good. This is a decent.
We don't usually talk about multiclassing in these videos.
Yeah.
But this is important to note that this power goes off the charts with multiclassing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So S tier multiclass, A tier overall.
Yeah, I think the spell casting is really good. It's weird because it's a very weapon attack focused subclass, and the biggest weakness of it is that it doesn't have extra attack innately.
Yeah.
And being a martial focused character without extra attack is going to make you sad.
Yeah.
So, I think that you look at all the features here and go, okay, how do I plan my level progression so that I can grab all the tasty things and then get extra attack and augment this? What I would do with this character is I would probably I would beeline. I would not start as a cleric. I would beeline as another class to level 5 to get extra attack, because I think the character's stronger overall.
Fair.
And then I would go cleric the rest of the way. I think that's what I would do. But tell me if you do something different. That's just the off the cuff reaction. So finally, we got the Circle of the Hive Druid, where you have a living swarm of arthropods living in you. So you're a living beehive.
Gross. That's my worst nightmare. I think I've had nightmares about this.
I think that's actually kind of a nightmare. But they share their body with tiny arthropods.
Are they like in me?
Insects, arachnids, or even crustaceans.
Oh,
they're in you. Yeah,
I could let a few crustaceans live in me. That's fine.
Living within their clothes and hair.
Yeah,
and their body.
If
you've ever had crustaceans living in your hair, I think you should see a doctor.
Beach Bod Kelly with his crustacean army. It's summer 2024. Let's go.
So we're going to get circle spells from the subclass. We're going to get the swarm cantrip, which is a new cantrip in the book. And then we're going to get blur, web, fly, hypnotic pattern, arcane eye, and giant insect, and insect swarm and mislead, with the caveat that all of your circle spells are flavored around the hive being the manifestation of those spells.
This is a good spell list.
Yeah.
There's not really anything to frown at here.
No, it's a decent decent spell list. So I have the feeling that we're going to be more of a caster druid. So keep that in mind as we go through the rest of the features here.
At second level, you're going to gain Swarm Shape. So now you can actually use your druid ability to Wild Shape to transform into a swarm. The same restrictions apply here as would always apply to your Wild Shape. It's just adding the swarm options to your list of things that you can Wild Shape into.
So you can't Wild Shape into a flying swarm until level 8.
Yeah.
And your challenge rating restrictions, like you're only ever going to be able to Wild Shape into something that's like challenge rating 1.
I will say, though, that the swarms are surprisingly robust creature types. I have seen swarms take down early level characters because they're actually way scarier than a lot of other creatures of that CR rating. So changing into a swarm is, to me, a bit of a boost in your Wild Shape capabilities.
Yeah. So we got the circle spells, we got
the Swarm Shape,
and we get this. So this lets us, as a bonus action, basically activate a aura of thorns sort of thing, where someone who attacks you has to make a con save or they take damage. The damage is really small. It starts out as a D4 poison damage, and it eventually goes up to D10. And after you use the feature, you can't after you activate it, it lasts for 1 minute. And you can then use it again after a short or long rest.
So for 1 combat counter per short rest, you are doing a little bit of damage when you get hit.
Yeah. Okay. Just me personally. Given that it starts as a D4 and scales up, and that you have to take the hit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like this is the whole thing. It's the first time you're hit by a melee attack by a creature within 15 feet of you on its turn. So if there's a monster that has multi-attack, it's not going to take this damage every time it hits you. It's only going to take it once.
And it gets a saving throw.
And it gets a saving throw with no damage on a successful save. Personally, I think this ability could have been in effect 100% of the time. Could have just been D6 damage and could have had no saving throw attached to it, and it would have been fine. But with the save and the use and limited uses, it's a little bit of an opportunity thing.
Yeah, you don't, as a druid, especially a spellcasting druid, you don't want to be in combat if you can avoid it. And if you are, you have to activate this ability. The creature gets a saving throw. They might take 1d4 damage, and it's poison damage as well, which is the most resisted damage type in the game. So
zombies aren't going to care.
So you have the most resisted damage type with a saving throw that you have to activate for 1 combat encounter per short rest for 1d4 damage.
And you're still taking the damage.
Yeah.
Now, there's no reaction involved, but that's where the 6th level feature comes into play.
So another 6th level feature, Protect the Monarch. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to gain temporary hit points.
Which are immediately used on the damage you took.
Yeah, so you're essentially, this is a long-winded way of saying that you are reducing the damage that you are taking by a few?
By 6.
6?
Eventually 10 and at max 20. So here's what happens. You're surrounded by your swarm, starting at level 6. An ogre comes up to you, slams you with their great club for 20 damage. You don't take 6 of that damage because you gain temporary hit points, and the ogre takes 2 points of poison damage. And that's your 6th and 2nd level features.
At 10th level, we get Honey Adrenaline. Now your swarm can go up to your allies and heal them a little bit. And
healing stinks.
Yeah, it's like bees swarm me, and I'm like, I feel better. So you choose a target within 30 feet, you heal them, and they get to immediately use their reaction to move up to their speed without provoking opportunity attacks.
It's a number of points of healing equal to your druid level as a bonus action. So this is a healing word amount of healing, right? Because at level 10, the healing word is D4 plus your wisdom mod. So it's a little bit more than healing word plus the movement, which is pretty useful. But you can only use this number of times per day equal to your wisdom modifier.
Yeah. So, I mean, healing's good. This isn't the best healing option, and it is on a character that already has a ton of great healing options.
Yeah. The movement's not bad.
Movement's not bad. This is a get the heck out of there card, which is always a good thing to have. So yeah, this ability is pretty good.
But the Cleric was giving us a get the heck card out as a reaction.
Yeah. And then at 14th level, we gain Swarm Sense. It gives us a list of abilities. We are now one with our swarm, so we gain Blind Sight and Tremor Sense. We gain resistance to poison damage, immunity to the poison condition, and advantage on initiative rolls. This is a nice little package. Is it top tier? Not really. Overall theme, great. I actually think that this is super niche.
I agree. I think that a lot of the times this is, aside from the spell list, which is really good.
Yeah.
You don't really have you don't really have a lot of subclass features.
The first thing this subclass tells me is, hey, you're going to be playing a spellcasting druid. Then it goes on to tell me, hey, you want to get hit because the only way that your subclass features are going to come on into play is when you're taking damage in combat, and you're mitigating this much damage and you're dealing this much damage back to them.
And you're a druid, and the druid spell list, you know what the really good thing on the druid spell list is? All the concentration spells. So as a druid, you're concentrating on a spell, and now to get your subclass features, you're going to be getting hit, which means that you really want to make sure that as this druid, you're taking Warcaster and Resilient Constitution. You're getting nothing to help you with your concentration, because the second level feature is just going to clap back a little bit of damage to somebody that hits you. Yeah, the 6th level feature is going to make the concentration check DC a little bit easier, but it's because it's giving you, but no, it's actually not, because that 6th level feature is giving you temporary hit points.
So you're still
not
taking
reducing
all the
damage.
Yeah.
So if you get hit for 40 points of damage, you still have to make a DC 20 concentration check, even though you got the temporary hit points that reduced it.
Okay.
Because you still took that damage.
I'm going to play light devil's advocate with myself, but I still don't think that this makes this an amazing subclass. I would like to say that druids who are spellcasters don't want to get hit. I could see the argument out there, well, everybody's going to get hit in D&D. Like, everybody's going to be taking damage at some point. So, yes, these will come into play during a combat encounter. But if you put the same abilities on a fighter, they would feel more useful, because my job is to be on the front lines taking damage.
And I've got other class features that are supporting that.
Yeah. Whereas this feels counterintuitive to what I'm doing with a druid, meaning that my goal is to not use my subclass features.
Yeah.
And when I use them, they're not doing a whole lot.
I feel like this could get juiced up quite a bit.
Yeah.
For me, it's a C.
Nothing here is like the worst.
I mean, I feel like the thing about it that is like the worst is that it's incentivizing you as a spellcaster to take hits, to use your subclass features.
It might be a D.
That is where there are now two things that are butting heads with each other, because I don't want to be taking hits and making more concentration checks just to get it for my subclass features to be doing anything when I'm concentrating on, like, one of the spells in the spell list was Hypnotic Pattern. I don't want to get hit, do D4 damage to somebody, and then lose concentration on Hypnotic Pattern.
I think this might be a D. I think I might give this a D. I don't love it. I don't love giving out Ds.
It's like, it's not.
I don't think I would take any other druid subclass.
Yeah, I would probably.
Only because, like,
it's thematically, like, it's a cool theme. I'm always really skeptical of features on spellcasters.
Spores Druid does a better job.
Yeah, it does. And I think that, like, there's ways to increase a spellcaster's survivability. When that happens, usually those features involve when you get hit, here's how it becomes less bad.
Yeah. And
one of these features is making it less bad, but one of the other ones is just, again, damage back at you, which isn't enough for me.
Damage is always good. Like dealing damage to an enemy that hits you, always good. Thorns, love it. But it's pretty small.
Yeah.
And again, this is a character that like we don't want to. Yes, in Diablo, I play in like Diablo 2, straight up, I played a Thorns Necromancer the whole time, which is also a character you don't want to get hit. But the whole trick was like you put thorns on your blood. Anyway, that was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I love thorns. But I agree with you. I wish that the thorns ability here was automatic. If it was automatic and consistent, then a D4 damage every time I get hit, it doesn't feel like too much. That doesn't feel like too much. If I'm doing D4 damage to my enemies and then at higher levels, D6, D8, D10, yeah, by the time I'm like 20th level, doing D10 damage back to a like adult dragon or an ancient dragon, who cares?
So bottom line for Helianna so far, love the treats. Love the bard stuff.
Bard was amazing.
They sing. I feel like
the cleric's amazing.
The cleric's amazing too. The druid subclass needed to. I think it's just a bit of a just kind of bugged me.
Huh. It crustaceaned me. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Out of here with that one, Kelly.
It was a good joke. You're laughing. Okay, so that's our look at the first half of the subclasses in Helianna's Guide. Honestly, themes off the charts. Love it. Very thematic. Really a lot of awesome work from a lot of awesome people went into this. So even when we're handing out a D tier or anything like that, I do want to say that people out there often play the game for theme and for flavor. And if that's what's bringing you into D&D, amazing. And if the swarmy boy druid is your shtick, then go for it. You're still going to probably have fun.
Yeah.
I really think that we should be supporting third-party creators and all of the amazing work that they do in creating these awesome entries into the world of D&D. So if you have different thoughts about these subclasses or you've tried any of them out, tell us about them in the comments below.
The videos that we make on our channel are made possible thanks to the incredible generosity of our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the work that we do here on YouTube, please consider becoming a patron of the show by following the links right down below.
And speaking of third-party creators and their unique and amazing worlds, you can check out our actual play in the worlds of Drakenheim, which airs Tuesday evenings right here on YouTube. You can check out all the previous episodes right up over here.
And we got plenty more tier ranking videos for D&D right up over here.
Please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and ring that bell so that you never miss an episode.
Thanks so much for watching. See you next time
in the dungeon.